What's going on, everybody? This is Poké Dak. Unfortunately, today I'm not going to be able to do any live stream. So I'm doing, to the best of my ability, I'm going to record a video ahead of time. By the time you guys see this, I'm actually going to be on vacation. I'm supposed to be leaving any minute right now, and I'm running late. So I won't really be able to edit this video hardly at all. But at the same time, I wanted to give you guys something because I do say that I'm going to try to stream every single Tuesday and Friday. So on Tuesdays and Fridays where I can't make it, I'm going to try to give you guys at least something. Today, we are going to review some cards that we are sending to grading. And yes, as you saw in the thumbnail, I am going to be grading my Charizard GX from Hidden Fates. And I also got a couple other really nice cards in here that you guys might want to see. So let's check how these cards look and see what other cards we got. Hopefully in a couple months, we'll be able to get these cards back with, fingers crossed, really good grades. So let's see. Okay, so first I'm going to start off with cards that were purchased by Martial Law, who has been a regular on the channel, and these cards were all pulled on the channel for him, and it's a service that hopefully I'm going to be able to continue in the future as the channel grows. Like, if you guys buy packs on here and you guys pull cards that you want to get graded, that's something that I want to provide. I want you guys to be able to pull awesome cards live on the channel, have them go out, get graded, and when they're done, I'll do a review video and then send it back to you. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know down below, but that's something that I really think could be fun on the channel. The grading company of choice that I'm going to be using today is CGC. They all have their merits and their downsides. Right now, PSA and Beckett are just too expensive and they take too long to send cards back for me to feasibly do them. So CGC has got a nice balance of cost and turnaround time, but also at the same time, the value of the cards I find are going up. And personally, I love CGC slabs. I know a lot of people kind of have hate for the color, which I don't necessarily love either, but their slabs themselves are really nice material. They feel sturdy, they feel good, and the cards look good inside. So yeah, I'm a fan of CGC. I'm also a fan of PSA and Beckett. And you know, if we want to have that conversation on the channel of which grading companies do you think I would recommend, or just have the conversation about what they offer, let me know down below as well. But yeah, let's look at these kind of in order of what I think is the most interesting, most expensive cards for Martial Law. I'm going to try to take these out. Some of the more expensive ones I might not. But yeah, let's look at these. Yeah, this Cynthia's Ambition, I remember pulling this out of one of the first booster boxes that we opened up from Brilliant Stars on the channel. The centering isn't perfect by any means. It's definitely heavy left, but I think it's easily 9.5 centering. And if we look at the back, you know, the back centering doesn't matter as much. It's not as critical. We do have a print line on the edge up here. So Martial Law knows this and he's aware of it, but it was one of his first big pulls on the channel. So it's something that we're going to get graded. It's also kind of a test to see what something like this, like a print line on the back, really does to affect the grade of a card. My guess is that it'll be it's going to grade low. My guess is this is going to grade somewhere in the 8s. The corners and edges are going to, I think they're going to come back with flying colors, 9.5s, or even better, possibly 10s, to be honest with you. And the centering is going to be like a 9 or 9.5, but I think the surface is going to come back with a grade of like 8 or 8.5. So realistically, I think this is probably going to grade somewhere around an 8.5, but I think I would be happy with that if it were my card. And it's a beautiful card. I really like Cynthia's Ambition. Cynthia cards tend to hold value really well over time. So I think it's a good choice to grade, and it's mostly like not nostalgic, but at the same time, you know, these pulls mean something, and it's kind of about the adventure of, you know, pulling these cards on the channel and then getting them graded, more so than it is looking for a perfect grade. Kind of the same story here, minus instead of print issues, we have centering issues on the Sylveon V. Again, this is a gorgeous card, a little bit heavy right, but like if you look at the bottom centering, it's just, you can tell it's just off. Heavy top, heavy right. Not perfect centering by any means. Is it enough for a 9? I honestly don't think so. I think it's probably going to get an 8.5 centering. And again, I could be totally wrong. So this is going to kind of be fun and interesting, you know, to see how we do compared to the actual grades that we get. Edges and corners should still do really well with this card, and surface should do really well, but it's going to be the centering that holds it back. I do think that this is capable of getting a 9 overall, which is a win. I think honestly, if you're 9 or above, you've done really well. Now, the biggest card for Martial Law is going to be this Charizard V that we pulled. Pulling this was absolutely insane. It was probably the highlight of my channel since I've revived it. And again, this is not a perfect card in perfect condition. If this was just a card I found in a sleeve, it's probably not something that I would grade, but it just has meaning to me and has meaning to Martial Law, having it being pulled on the channel. But yeah, if you look at the centering, you know, we got definite heavy left. Top to bottom is a little bit better, but, you know, It's not perfect. I think this can pass as 9 centering. I really do. Might push lower than 9. It's hard to tell. But, you know, if we look at the back, you know, this card looks great. Brilliant Stars has had absolutely fantastic quality control. As far as modern sets go, I think it's leagues above anything else for quality. But yeah, I do think that this has a solid chance at a 9. Depending on how harsh they are with the centering, you know, I think it could vary from an 8.5 to a 9.5, but I do think 9 is a solid guess for this. All right, let's move on to the cards that I'm going to be grading personally for myself. Let's start with some trainer cards that I have. And one of these is pretty interesting. I'll get your thoughts on it when we get to it. But the first one is going to be a Brilliant Stars Marnie's Pride. This was a card that I pulled off camera. It was the first booster box of Brilliant Stars that I opened. I opened it with my wife, and this was the best pull out of that box. I'm not too afraid to take this one out of the sleeve. Obviously, Marnie has done really well with like holding value and increasing in value and being a card worth grading. So I really do think this is a card worth grading out of the set. Now, if we look at the centering on this is much better than the other 3 that we looked at. It's maybe a little heavy left and maybe a little heavy bottom, but not by a lot. I think this is 9 or 9.5 centering easy. I don't think I would ever guess anything would be a 10, especially with CGC, because they're such difficult, stringent graders. But if we look at the back and we look at the edges and the corners, this thing is darn near flawless. It's got some dust on it, but that's just dust. Yeah, this card is in impeccable condition. It is in absolutely great condition. A possible blemish on the surface up here and a possible, I didn't see this until just now. It looks like there might be a print line down the center of the back. It could also just be my eyes playing tricks on me, but there might be a print line. That's going to be really difficult for the grader to pick up. But if we do see a low surface grade on this card, it might make sense. But again, I do think this is a card worth grading. I'm hoping that I can get at least a 9, 9.5 with this. I have the full art Marnie from Sword and Shield base set in a 9.5 from CGC, and it'd be nice to have both Marnie full arts in a 9.5 from CGC. The next trainer card I have, like I was saying, is really interesting. This is Red's Challenge. So yeah, this is super interesting. This card is from Unbroken Bonds, and the history for me for this card, when I was first kind of getting into Pokemon, not first, but probably about a year or 2 ago, I had just created my Instagram for Poké Dak, and somebody had reached out to me and said, hey, I have a binder full of cards and I have no idea what they're worth. Do you want to buy them? And I was like, yeah, I'll buy them. You know, we negotiated a deal. And this was on the first page. And I was like, whoa, that is kind of a winner. I bought the whole binder for $100 and it had probably 200 cards in it, 300 cards in it, but they didn't really have good pictures of what they had inside. And I never saw this card in any of the pictures they sent. And this was right on the first page. I was like, that is awesome. That is an awesome card to get. So the centering on this is not perfect again, but I think it could pass as a 9. I really do. And like most of the cards that were in the binder were not taken care of well. They weren't sleeved. So this does have scratches and stuff on the back. So I'm expecting a really low surface grade, but it's just kind of cool. I'm hoping that I can get an 8.5 on this. If I get anything really low, again, this is kind of like a good test for how strict is CGC with the surface of the back of the card. So I'm really curious to see, you know, we could get like a 4 or a 5. I have no idea, but I'm really hoping we can get an 8.5. It's just a cool card to have in the collection. But the corners and the edges on this are in really nice condition, which from what I have seen in the past has been the most important parts when looking at the back are, you know, is there any whitening? Are there any dings or anything like that? Is there anything egregious going on with the surface? All right, the next cards kind of all go together. And it's one of the coolest sets of cards that I have in my collection for modern cards. And it is the Hidden Fates Shiny Evolution line. Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard. So let's look at these cards, you know, one at a time. Depending on how long you've been with the channel, when I started the channel in 2020, you know, I was opening up a lot of Hidden Fates because it was a little bit easier to get back then and it was really fun. And I pulled both the Charmander and the Charmeleon on the channel. So yeah, dig through the channel's history to see if you guys can find these videos. But I remember pulling both of these cards and thinking that they were just in about flawless condition. Now it's been over a year since I've looked at these cards. It's probably been a year and a half since I've looked at these cards. Yeah, the centering on the front looks amazing. It looks absolutely amazing. And I didn't see any print lines or anything like that in the hollow. And then other than like dust that's just collected, I mean, look at the corners and the centering and the edges on this. I'm expecting 9.5s for the Charmander and the Charmeleon. These cards are just about perfect, in my opinion. These are the cards that I'm grading because I'm kind of expecting a high grade, but we shall see. We shall see. The Charmeleon, again, was pulled like probably a week or 2 apart from each other, these two cards were. And this one, you know, it looks like there's a print line, but that's just the shadow of the artwork. And the centering is just about perfect on this card. It looks so good. No print lines on the actual shiny itself. And then the centering looks just about flawless on the back too. Nothing on the corners or the edges. I'm expecting at least a 9 on these. Hoping for a 9.5. The likelihood of a 10 is almost impossible, but I would not be surprised that if these two cards did score a couple 10s in the subgrade department. And then the last of the group is this Charizard GX. Now this is a card that I did not pull personally. It's a card that I did purchase, but I purchased it like a year and a half ago. I got it for what was a reasonable price at the time. I got it for, I think it was like $500 or $475, which was a really reasonable price at the time. And what I was so excited about was the centering on this. Now, the centering isn't perfect, but if you look at the history of GX cards and the centering issues they've had with them, I think this is about as close as I've ever seen a GX card in person, a full art GX with centering. I think this has a chance to get 9.5 or 9 centering and maybe even a 10. I'm not sure, but the surface looks amazing. The centering looks amazing. And if we look on the back, you know, if you can look past the dust, you know, the stuff's all just dust on the sleeve. You know, the corners look great. I don't see any whitening on any of the corners. No beveling, no lipping. This card looks amazing. This card looks truly amazing. And full arts are incredibly hard to grade through CGC because there's so much that could go wrong on the surface. But I am expecting and really hoping for 9.5s for all 3 of these shiny Charizard Charmeleons. I may be crazy. I might be smoking something. I don't know. You guys tell me. What do you think these cards are going to grade? You know, I'm expecting lower grades for the first cards that I showed you, but these ones, I'm really expecting something high. Let me know if you guys agree. And for the last card that I'm going to be looking at today, this one, I'm really excited to get graded. It's honestly the highlight of my PokeTuber career so far was pulling this card. This is not one that I'm expecting a super high grade on by any means, but it does mean a lot to me. It is the Rainbow Pikachu VMAX Chonkachu from Vivid Voltage. I did pull this on the channel. If you go back, it's a video where I kind of show this a little bit blurred and just says I actually pulled it. Go check that video out. It was absolutely insane. But let's look at why I don't think it's going to be a perfect grade. The centering on this is the reason I think it's going to be held back. We have definite heavy right on the sides, and it's kind of hard to tell top and bottom, but it looks like it's going to be heavy bottom. I don't think it's going to hold it back too much, but it's definitely not going to get a 9.5, I don't think, unless the rest of the card is just perfect. You never really know. So if I do get a high grade on this, I will be pleasantly surprised. The back also has centering issues. It's heavy right and let me see, heavy bottom. Yeah, it's heavy right and heavy bottom. At best, I think the centering will get 9 on this, but I don't think it'll probably even get that high. But the corners, edges, and surface all look really good. But yeah, this is something that I've been wanting to get graded for over a year now since I've pulled it. Yeah, you guys let me know down below if you think I'm crazy on these grades, if you think I'm crazy for sending them to CGC, if you think I should send them to Beckett or PSA or something different, or just let me know your thoughts on this. I just wanted to give you guys something that you could watch because I was supposed to have a live today. You know, this is something that's I'm gonna start doing more and more on the channel. So I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you this next Tuesday, April 5th. We'll see you Tuesday, April 5th for the next live stream where we're gonna be giving away more stuff. So see you guys then. Peace.